Lovely. Okay. Well, thank you for joining us today, guys. This is our new series, I'm going to call it. Oh, 1 second. There we go. Lovely. So this is like our new series of content here at Airship called Partner Pilates. We kicked off our first session with Feed It Back last month, and today we are joined by Wireless Social. We've got a great relationship with Wireless Social, almost 100 mutual clients, which is just bonkers, and a really solid integration. So before we actually kind of get stuck in, I'm sure some of you are thinking, what on earth is Partner Pilates? And no, just to kind of reassure you, no lycra, no strenuous moves, you're in safe hands. Partner Pilates is essentially a session in which we sit with one of our partners just to walk you through our integration and how to best utilize it. So you might be here as an observer or a mutual client or prospecting kind of user of either platform. But we just want to give you a little bit of inspo today and just some tips and tricks as to how to use the integration. And we also just live for a cheesy concept. So yeah, there we go. Okay, so there we go. Now I've kind of introduced what Partner Pilates is. We'll just do some quick fire, lovely catfish photos of all three of us.
Keep this up, Bryony.
Definitely a catfish photo from my end. So I'm Bryony. I'm the partnerships manager at Airship and Toggle. So my role is very much just working closely with our partners, nurturing the relationship we have with them. Shout out to Suze. And just making sure that we've got happy mutual clients, integration is working, and we're doing cool things like this together. Zoe?
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, absolute solid partnership. We've all worked for Wireless Social or with a CRM system before, so we hopefully know what we're talking about. And yeah, no, just really pleased to be here and looking forward to this session.
And I'll go last. So I'm Sam. I think I know most people in the call. And as Zoe said, spent many years at Wireless Social. I've now spent more years than I realised at Airship. So hopefully all three was in a really good position to talk about different levels of expertise that you can implement to get the most out of using a hospitality Wi-Fi data collection partner and a hospitality specific CRM, whoever you happen to use. And I'm quite fortunate in that I get to speak to a lot of our customers and a lot of operators and see the ways in that they're really making use of the platforms together in really simple ways, and also a few people that are making life a bit too complicated for themselves and how they could probably go one step back and do something a bit simpler for easier, more trackable results. So yeah, it was brainchild of Brian is this session, but hopefully some very simple takeaway actions.
Thank you. Cool. So I guess now that we've given a little bit of an introduction to what this is, I'm just going to give a little bit of a summary of the structure of how today will go. So kind of similar to a workout class, we'll be doing a warm-up, we'll be doing a workout, and then a cool down. The actual workout itself will be split into 3 levels. So we have beginner, intermediate, and then advanced. Everyone here will be on different levels of time, understanding either platform or just bandwidth with either. So like I say, it's just kind of best use, tips and tricks, etc. So to break that down, we'll be running through beginner, which is kind of like the no-brainer. So what everyone should be doing with the integration, essentially utilizing the contact data that you are collecting via Wireless Social login. And then we have intermediate, so still keeping things fairly simple, but something a little bit more creative that requires just a touch more bandwidth. So we'll be looking at lapse journeys, post-visit journeys, and then tracking the success of those with both platforms. And then advanced, we'll be discussing a term that Wireless Social have coined, which is loyalty light, which is building customer loyalty and retention without kind of all of the flashy, elaborate schemes. But before we kind of get stuck in, we're just going to go through a little bit of an overview for those that might not know either platform. So Zoe's going to walk us through Wireless Social, and then Sam will do the same for Airship. So here we go, hand that over.
Thanks, Bryony. So yeah, for anyone that doesn't know Wireless Social, we are a hospitality focused guest Wi-Fi platform and insights provider. So at the heart of it is obviously this little journey that you can see here. So as a customer comes into one of your venues, they are given the chance to opt in when they connect to the Wi-Fi. So we're capturing that first party data. That obviously feeds through into the wireless social dashboard. And from there, you can get a great selection of insights, whether that's understanding your footfall and patterns in behavior, whether it's breakdowns of demographics, whether it is differences between marketing opt-ins and non-opt-ins, and also our benchmarking tools. So where do your results sit compared to your competitors? Then in addition, obviously, we are passing that data across to your CRM provider, such as Airship, making sure that all those customers that said, yes, I'd love to hear from you, yes, I'd love to receive your marketing, are being fed through so that you can gather all that data and layer it with your other sources to get that really great sort of single customer view. And then we also have integrations with a whole other host of hospitality tech providers as well. So not just CRM, but things like loyalty, order pay, feedback systems, you name it. So if you can get more value from our data by feeding it into any one of your systems, we will build that integration free of charge. You heard it here. So that's, if you're getting more value, you get more value from us. It's a no-brainer. So then whether that's automated feedback emails, all that kind of thing, it's just about driving the value from this initial completion of the form and process from there. So yeah, that's wireless social.
Oh, thank you.
I'll give everyone a quick snapshot into Airship. I imagine most people are familiar with the platform during this call, but just in case there's anyone joining as a wild social customer that's not yet had a chance to look into Airship in too much detail, we've kind of become the default choice for hospitality CRM. So any groups that have got, say, between 5 to 50 locations that are taking their customer data seriously, we seem to work with the majority of the operators in that space. Over 300 brands now using Airship as their email marketing platform and as their single customer view for their customer data. So the idea for us, quite simply, is you should be able to store all of your customer data in one place. So a really significant percentage of that we see comes through wireless social, for sure, because Wi-Fi data capture is one of the main sources of capturing customer data. But other sources of that data might be things such as table booking, or order and pay, or gift card purchase, or feedback, or signing up on social media, or through your photo booth. So all manner of different sources of data that you're capturing, that in a lot of companies that aren't using a CRM, it all lives in different silos, can be quite hard to use, and you don't have this top-down view of all that data being overlapped. So we should be able to give you a single view of who is Zoe Knowles, which venues has she been to in Vegas, which ones did she book, what did she order when she was there, how long did she stay. All this data should be about what was Zoe doing over her lifetime interacting with your brands. Within there, we've got an email builder, the Email Genius, where you can go in and create really quite bespoke emails of any style you want and send them out with kind of delivery rates and compatibility rates that we're really proud of. Behavior triggered comms, we're going to touch on quite a lot in this session today, and it's the main thing that we really bang the drum about here at Airship, which is a lot of people in hospitality have a huge amount of data. I think we all know that now, with all these different tech platforms that you're collecting data in, but very few people are actually making consistent, healthy use of that data. There's a lot of one-off pulses or weekly newsletters or national days or Christmas, but actually consistently using that data as it comes in is quite rare, or more rare than you'd imagine. So we talk about setting up behavior triggered comms, where there's emails being sent out or text messages being sent out or audiences being created automatically without anyone even being awake. It's just happening as the data comes in, and we'll talk about that. We should be somewhere that you can pull reports on all your customer data, of course, and do audience segmentation, but they're kind of given at this point for CRMs like ourselves, we'd hope so. And then also we have something called POP, which we're going to talk about in kind of the intermediate and advanced parts of today's session, which is whenever a partner, a really good example of that being wireless social, is telling us the customers in your venue, our system is essentially stood there with a clicker and saying, okay, another visit, another visit, another visit. So there might be a bar group in Manchester, and through all the different sources, it might say that Bryony is visiting 5 times a week since her move to the city centre, this particular favourite bar. And she booked a table on a Saturday, it's for a group of 6, but she might also visit on a Tuesday night and order through the order and pay alcohol-free beer, or she might go and be in the photo booth on the Thursday. And every time we're clicking saying, okay, Brian is definitely a gold customer. I might visit once and get spotted through the Wi-Fi or redeeming a gift card. So I might be a silver customer. And then Zoe might not have visited yet, but she might have signed up through the website, through social, and she'll be sat on the database as a prospect. And so you can speak to us all differently because you know our visit profile differently because of the tech partners you have in place. And that's where a lot of the magic happens with Airship, when you take people's actual behavior and overlap with some automated communications to drive certain behavior, it can have pretty exciting results. So yeah, lots of integrations. And last year we sent over 300 million emails. This year we're averaging 45 million emails sent per month, which is kind of scary. So we're going to dwarf that number, and we should go past 500 million emails sent for the first time this year for hospitality operators. That was a lot of intro. Sorry, Brian, back to you.
No, that's great. Thank you. So I suppose now that we've had a little bit of an overview of both platforms, we wanted to, I suppose, give it a little bit of an example journey. This is a little bit of a butterfly or kind of domino effect, because there's not necessarily one clear-cut way of doing it. It's more so just an example of the many different directions that you could take this. So let's just say we have a customer dining for the first time. They log onto the Wi-Fi either through form or social. They opt into Freezy marketing. You now have a customer that wants to hear from you. So what kind of real-time journey are you taking them on? Are you asking first-time customers a question? Are you kind of utilizing the micro survey? How did you hear about us? What's your dietary preference, your favorite music, etc.? One of the examples I like to give with this during my time at Wireless Social was an event-led business who were asking all of their customers kind of what do you want to see from us? Do you want DJs? Do you want cabaret, burlesque, etc.? And then using this almost as a small piece of market research and then tailoring their future events based on this research that was then coming back. And also being able to target those customers again. So the ones that said DJs or cabaret, once that event then comes around, being able to say, hey, we've got a DJ event coming up, we've got a cabaret event coming up. And it's just that really nice element of, the comms being super personal to them. And then once they've filled out a micro survey, kind of what landing pages are you then sending your customers to? So do you want traffic to your Instagram or your Christmas or holiday or bottomless brunch booking page, whatever it might be, whatever you would like a few more eyes on? And then following dining, how are you communicating with your customer post visit? So are you welcoming them? Are you bringing them on a journey to then build a loyal customer? And with time, are the comms becoming more personalized? Are you building an idea of their dining, spending, behavioral patterns, and just giving them something that that they are engaged with, or you think, okay, this person's dined 5 times. Following that, are you incentivizing or rewarding repeat visits? Are you segmenting your customers based on this? Or are you kind of communicating in broad strokes? So this is just a nice little example of that. So yeah, Sam, Zoe, I'm not too sure if you've got anything to add on to that. But if not, we can kind of get stuck in.
We can get stuck in.
Yeah.
Cool. So let's start with beginner.
Cool. So birthday perks. That is the absolute no-brainer that Sam and I and Brian have been talking about this. So from the moment that this customer is signing up, outside of email address, obviously, and first name for your personalization, birth date should 100% be on your form that you're capturing. So for those of you that we use Wireless Social, you'll know that there's different options of how a customer can log in. And so, yeah, if you've got a form, it's fully customizable. Make sure that birth date is on there. The other option that customers can use is to dial in through their, to log in via their social account. So the beauty of a social login is that data is almost always completely accurate because, for example, Facebook, people want their birthday on Facebook to be correct so that they can get their friends to say happy birthday. We've talked before, and I've definitely had conversations with clients that they feel that customers maybe put in fake birthdays. And to be honest, it really doesn't matter. If you're getting that incremental visit because your campaign has generated them to, has encouraged them and brought them into your venue, does it matter? I'm sure Sam can talk a bit about how you can protect yourselves from overuse of that within the Airship platform. But yeah, if you're getting that incremental visit, absolute no-brainer. So I'll hand over to Sam now to talk about what then happens from an Airship side.
Thank you, Zoe. And for years I was convinced I was gaming the system, where I would sign up to a new hospitality brand and I'd put my birthday a month after the date I was signing up, and I'd done it for ages. It's like, look how clever I am. And then realised one year I'd spent several £1,000s in these venues on my fake birthdays. And I used to leave every time spending about 60 quid extra going, ha, look at me go. I was like, oh yeah, the pennies dropped finally. It's just one extra incentivized visit per year for me, per brand. So yeah, there's definitely lots of things we can do in place, like social logins and a little bit of sanity, if everyone's January the 1st, but the fact that it just doesn't happen that way. If we look at ourselves, most people don't go and purposely put the wrong date in. We're kind of just pre-engineered now to go and put our actual details in. So we see it as a huge source of additional visits and revenue within Airship. And as Zoe said, if you take one thing from today's session, book in with a member of our team if you're not comfortable how to do it yourself on Airship, and just say, I'm going to put an hour to one side and I'm going to get a birthday journey live. Because when we track the results that come from birthday journeys, which we're able to do now with our EPOS integrations and our order and pay integrations and all of our different tech partners sending us data, we can actually track individual campaigns back to baskets on tills for certain partners that we have, and then feed that back into your Airship dashboard. The average automated birthday journey is adding around £13,000 of additional revenue per location per year, and you can set it up within an hour. So it's criminal not to do it, but the statistics around hospitality brands that don't even have a birthday journey live is around 80%. So that means that by default, I guess it's slightly stacked in your favor because you've taken the time to join this call, but for people watching this, 4 out of 5 of you statistically won't have a birthday journey live, and that's not criminal in terms of it's the majority, but just take an hour this week, book in with our team and go and build it, because it will add revenue that you can track per venue. And if you've got a birthday journey live, then take that same hour and go and add an anniversary journey if that fits into your brand, or a half birthday, send it 6 months after their birthday, or your dog's birthday if you're a pet friendly brand. We've got pub groups that do a dog's birthday campaign. It's automated, they capture it on their website and they send out a QR code for a free bowl of food and a free bowl of water. And then you can track when they're redeemed, track the basket value and see what the additional spend from that campaign was. I guarantee it'll be one of the best hours you spend in marketing this year, because it will continue to pay dividends every week, every month. If you've got a database of 12,000 customers, on average, there'll be 1,000 birthdays per month. It's well worth doing. So as a beginner side from us, take a look at your automated journeys, have a word with yourself if you've got none set up already, and then just ring the team and just say, right, hold my hand, let's get this built and let's do it. So there's one pub group that I don't think I can name out of just politeness because we're just about to finalise a case study, but they've got a small selection of pubs, one of which is very famously visited by a lot of us in this sector and located near to Euston Station. I'm going to give it away totally. But the chap there that we all know who's lovely rang end of February. He introduced birthday journey start of Jan, saying they were going to allow people to book the private dining room without any additional charge as part of the birthday journey. They did it either side in exchange for a certain number of headcount coming. And by the end of Feb, they'd had more private dining room bookings so far this year than any previous year, which kind of blows my mind to do that in 2 months. But it's just because of this nudge marketing, suggesting something in a polite way. They weren't even giving a discount on food and drink or an incentive. It was just, do you want to book the private dining room? You don't have to give huge discounts or monetary values away. Just speaking to people in a personalized way at the right time with the right message, we know it works. And the fact is that 4 out of 5 of your competitors are not doing it. So you should be. Thanks, Bryony.
Thank you. And then on to intermediate.
I'll kickstart this one. So intermediate is talking about, okay, so if you feel like you've cracked the automated journeys that are just going out regularly based on someone's demographic data, so their pet's birthday or their anniversary, or just a you know, a welcome journey, then you can start to build these journeys that are triggered based on that person's behavior, not just their demographic stats. And I know from having worked at Wilder Social and having chatted with Zoe many times since moving to Airship, if you're working with Wilder Social, you're given the ability to do these in a really intelligent way. So I'll give you a few examples of how they're set up within Airship and how people use them for great effect. And then I'll hand over to Zoe to talk about other ways perhaps that they see their customers using it, but more importantly, how they track the results of these. So very simply, you can do a lapsed customer campaign. So you are able within Airship, because of all the data we pull in from the likes of Wilder Social through POP, proof of presence, to see not just how often customers visit, but you can see if a customer suddenly stopped visiting at the same rate they were previously, or stopped visiting at all. I think we all probably have that one brand in our head. I think of a couple where they used to be part of your regular routine or repertoire, and then perhaps maybe one day you had a bad experience, or one day they just happened to be closed and you went to somewhere else nearby, and that just became your go-to. And for whatever reason, a micro decision led you to no longer visiting, or a macro decision, it could have been something that really put you off the brand, a poor meal, poor service, the price point was wrong, you couldn't get in. And so with these lapse campaigns, you can target people who haven't visited for X amount of time, or people that are now no longer visiting X amount more than they have done previously. So you could say any customers that haven't visited us for 4 months, but previously were visiting regularly. And that can trigger out as soon as that person hits that milestone, and it can say, hey, we want you back. Here's an aggressive incentive, or a very attractive offer, or some wording that makes it more likely they'll open it. And then you can personalize it to your heart's content, but just start with the basics. Just get an email going out that's pleasant and plays onto your strengths as a brand. It can't do worse than not having a lapsed customer one live. And then every time that person comes and visits, and while the social tells us that person's been in the venue, it pushes them another 4 months away from getting this really exciting incentive to revisit, because you don't need to cannibalize if they're still coming back in. So all your other activity can be aiming to get them to come in, but this can be a last line of defense. If that person is just not visiting, who used to visit regularly, they're going to get a message. It's a text message or it's an email saying, hey, here's an incentive to come back in, or just even an invite. Sometimes that's all it can take. The number of times that I'm in London and I get one saying, hey, did you know we're showing the Man City game this evening? Because they know from my data I'm a Man City fan. It might just be enough for me to go, oh yeah, do you know what? I'll take the other people I'm with at that event and we'll go and watch it there. And then post-visit, again, it's for someone who is engaged, but it's a vital part of this journey, this ecosystem of just continuously communicating and getting personalized feedback and improving your offering from customers who are coming in. The customers who are visiting you are your biggest source of feedback and opportunity to improve. So post-visit, for example, we can spot through all manner of methods if someone's been in the venue. You know, very few better than Wilder Social, because they've got their access points on the wall, constantly searching for the MAC addresses in people's phones and spotting if I bring my phone back in that I've logged into the Wi-Fi on previously. And you can have it set up with an Airship that, you know, the day after someone visits and they've been spotted by one of the tech partners we work with, you can fire out an email, you know, along whatever manner of communication you wish. The most common one saying, I hope you enjoyed your visit. And previously you were limited to only doing this if someone had made a table booking, and it would fire out through either your partner like us or your table booking platform. But now just the fact that someone logged onto the Wi-Fi and been in the venue can be enough to spot that they're in there, and then send a follow-up saying, hey, thanks for coming. Here's a little thank you. Your next visit, you get a free coffee. Or, hey, we'd love to know your experience. Please follow this link to leave us some feedback. And again, you're just driving either a future visit or behavior that's in line with what you're looking for those customers to do. And you can take this out as far as you want, but what we're saying is intermediate from Airship is if you've got your automated journey set up for things that are nice and simple, like birthdays, anniversaries, etc., start thinking about the actual interaction your customers have and what you wish they were having sent to them if they do or do not do something. And again, book in an hour or two with your Airship contact on our side, and they'll hold your hand through it. We've set this up for hundreds of groups, and we can make sure we give advice on what does and doesn't work. But then something that's really interesting that now is starting to come in our sector that I'll hand over to Zoe for, that hasn't always been easy or at all possible in hospitality, is actually tracking the success of your marketing campaigns or the impact it has. So I'll stop waffling. I'll hand over to Zoe to talk through what Wilder Social do in that respect.
Thanks, Sam. So yeah, I think when you're, as a marketeer, when you're trying to find the resource and the time to get these campaigns live, the really important key is, how am I going to prove the success of it? How am I going to measure that? And in some cases, you may have voucher codes in there. So great, you can get that provable spend. But as you know, and as in the example that Sam gave in the slide before around the birthday campaign, that was just a nudge to book private dining. There's going to be some campaigns that you push out where you don't want to give something away immediately in the email. So how do you measure the impact that those campaigns are having? On the right of this slide, you can see some screenshots. This is from a live client who implemented a post-visit email campaign in May. And you can see here, so the blue, so we've chopped off the key, but the blue bars are opted into marketing customers. The green bars are non-opted into marketing customers. So you can see here that since the implementation of that post-visit email campaign, this client saw an increase in dwell time and an increase in visitors returning for their, and a very slight increase in as well in the average visits per user for that period. So that is just a very clear, immediate view that you could stick in a board report, whatever, wherever it is that you're trying to justify the kind of the work that you're doing and prove the impact. This is one key visual that can just be sent out as it is. And that's what we're looking for, is all those time saving as well. So you're not having to scour through spreadsheets and try and spot success. You know, it should be glaring at you from the page. And as Sam's been saying, same for us, if you want help implementing these, so, you know, if you want to help adding in when your campaigns are going live as these little calendar markings, like you can see here, we'll do that for you. If it's wanting to add dog's birthday to your Wi-Fi login form, we'll do that for you. So yeah, just always reach out and ask, because we want you to get the most from our systems.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I was chatting with the always wonderful Mark McCulloch this morning about the kind of the chicken and the egg element of some types of marketing in this sector, where he's got a TikTok masterclass coming up. I think it's next week, actually, 23rd of May, and talking about this kind of trying to get our sector to the tipping point with certain marketing activities, where until you can convince the higher up and the boardroom that particular channel of marketing isn't just a fad or a bit of fun or for the younger generation, but it actually has a proven impact on footfall and spend and loyalty of customers and brand perception, it's really hard to get them to suddenly open up the same amount of money that they'll open up for, or budget or resource or new team members, as you would do for the more traditional marketing channels that perhaps are almost in everyone's minds probably less effective, but easier to track or have been previously. And there's a lovely chap on the call, I think most people know, Jack from Mission Mars, Rudy's now, but Schlossen, a few of the lovely brands. And, you know, they proved beyond doubt with some social media campaigns who use both wireless social and Airship, the results and the money and the additional visits driven by a social media campaign through Instagram and Facebook. And you can do that now. You can tie these campaigns into your CRM, into your Wi-Fi data capture. You can track who visits, you can allocate a monetary value to it, you can get those people opted into marketing, you can track their lifetime value of going back in. You can do clever things. So it's interesting. And using tools like the ones that Zoe's showing here, you can go back to your boardroom and say, look, that campaign drove this, we need more budget for this going forward, or budget should be allocated here, not here. I know that anecdotally it's felt different in the past, but the results are really clear. This is what we should be spending money on. And it's hopefully able to empower you guys to go and do just that, and ask for pay rises and more headcount and more budget and all the good stuff. That's what we're supposed to be able to help you doing.
Okay, wonderful. And on to advanced.
Thanks, Bryony. I cannot describe how obsessed I am about Loyalty Light. I think it is an absolute no-brainer for hospitality brands of all levels. So what we've been talking about so far in this session, one is the, you know, those key data fields, capturing them. The next stage was how you use things like a date stamp to then trigger a journey. What Loyalty Light is where you start, and that's why it's sort of considered advanced, is where you layer two fields together. So what I'm talking about here is layering visit date with visit frequency. So when you're looking at implementing loyalty in your business, I've been your side of the table as well in previous roles before wireless social and CRM, and it's such a hard one to decide, basically, like, what visit count is it that I struggle to get people from? You know, do plenty of people reach visit 2 but don't get to 3? Do plenty of 3 or to 4? What should I give? You know, what's going to move the dial? If I give a free meal, yeah, that's absolutely going to move the dial probably, but it's going to cost me a fortune. Is a free drink enough? What, you know, and it's all those kind of conversations. And the problem is once you've published your loyalty scheme, as everyone knows, you'll have a core part of your database that will absolutely love it and engage in it, but it will be the minority. And the problem is they're quite a vocal minority. So if you try at some point, try and change that, remove it, adapt it, you can end up kind of causing some friction with your customer base who feel they've built up a significant amount of points or what have you. The benefit of Loyalty Lite is that you don't have to pay for apps, you don't have to pay for, you know, all the kind of the costly parts of advanced loyalty systems. You can just simply using the automated email function within Airship and the visit date and visit count that sources such as us will provide to set up a kind of behind the scenes loyalty journey. So it might be, and we've got some examples here. So it might be 1 day post 10th visit, they get something. It might be 16 days after the 3rd visit, they get something. It can feel as surprise and delight or as targeted as you want. You can control that. You can control that in the content. You can control that in the frequency of the automations. And then you can just keep testing and perfecting and understanding, okay, actually, a free drink is enough to get from visit 1 to 2, but it doesn't move the dial from 2 to 3. And you can start just constantly using the data that both our systems can provide to help you really hone what moves the majority of your customers for those to have those incremental visits. So yeah, Sam, shall I hand over to you to talk a bit about kind of what that would look like from a Airship side of things?
Yeah, for sure. And something that we are definitely massive advocates for. And again, it's almost, I like the style of these, Bryony, by the way, these Pilates sessions, because it really is the advanced session. And we do see a lot of brands, through no fault of their own, trying to implement, you know, advanced stages, even more advanced than what me and Zoe talk about here, before they've got the basics covered. And, you know, just because they're the simplest ones to do doesn't mean they're not the most impactful in driving footfall or revenue. So once you've got your beginner and your intermediate done, we'd love to talk to you in more detail about this. You know, get us and wireless social on the phone at the same time, and let's just chat through it, because Zoe's not joking. We live our lives in a very small niche section of hospitality, and we've become quite obsessed with it. And we just love talking through options of how to do it. So if you're like, well, how do I start? Get on the phone to us, get on the phone to our teams. But we've introduced something recently that allows you to take all this data that Zoe's talking about from all the different partners we work with about, you know, do we know how many visits that person's had? How many days past is it? What, you know, you can set triggers up based on pretty much anything you want now. And there's a chap that a lot of people will know called James Mobbs, who's ex-Ego and now East Coast Concepts, that I don't know is in the call, but I'm sure we're watching this at some point. So hello, James. He pushed us just over a year ago to start working on something called Airship Loyalty, because a lot of people have asked us over the years, do you do loyalty? I still don't fully understand what that question means. I think loyalty means something different to every single brand in our sector. So it should do, you know, loyalty can cover a whole multitude of activity and behavior types. You know, Dan, our CEO, was on stage at RMI recently, and someone asked the 4 people in the panel, what is a loyal customer? And all 4 of them basically disagreed very politely about what that phrase meant. And I would expect that me, Brian, and Zoe have asked now what a loyal customer is, would all give 3 answers that sound correct, but are all very different. And so what James pushed us to build in Airship Loyalty was basically an online profile that can be accessed via a QR code or a web link, or through any manner of different ways that they could access it through their social media or email or text message or in venue. And in there, the customer will automatically have an account set up, anyone that's on your marketing database, and in there it will show all of their single-use vouchers, all of their rewards, all their birthday codes, or any gift cards they have. And so they can just be flowing into there, and it can be nudging that person to let them know to go into their profile and see. So unlike when I go to a venue and go, oh, I'm sure I might have a code in here in my email somewhere, or I wonder if I have a gift card that's still outstanding somewhere at home. You could go in and say, okay, for Ego Mediterranean restaurants, let's just use them as examples. I could go in and go, oh, I've got a birthday voucher from 6 months ago that I've not used, it's not expired, which means that me and one other person get a free dessert. Oh, actually, I've got a £15 gift card remaining that expires in 2 months. Or, oh, I've been dropped in here. Thank you for being a loyal customer. We spotted you visited 10 or more times this year. There's a free cocktail, and it's just a code that I hand over to the member of the bar staff, and they scan it, and it is redeemed through the Comtrex till. I get my cocktail, but then it updates Airship and tells them that Sam Brown was in there redeeming a single-use voucher. It adds to another visit, and it takes me on the next step of the journey. And because you've got all the data coming in pre-visit, during my visit, and then you can decide what to do post-visit, it gives you the ability to do this loyalty light that Zoe's talking about. And it's so clever because it's almost like this constant cycle of going, okay, thanks for visiting, but what's next? When's your next visit coming from? How can I eke out another visit? And we've all done the maths that if the average visit frequency increased 5% per person, or everyone just increased their visit frequency once per year, so the single visit has become a 2 and the 9 has become a 10. You know, it's outrageously impactful if you can just do a small increase in visit frequency by doing these little bits of nudge marketing. And that's not to say that there's not a place for the loyalty apps out there. There's, you know, we all agree on this call, there's some phenomenally powerful apps out there, and platforms and suppliers that do some phenomenal things around loyalty under that banner. But there's things you can do as a stepping stone if you haven't got something in place already that will add an immediate impact if you're not sure if that's the right step for you. And it may well lead to you then going to one of our friends in the sector who work with both us and Wilder Social and going the whole hog and getting the app in place and the full loyalty scheme. But there's no real excuses anymore not to doing something along the lines of loyalty light, because you've probably already got the platforms in place to do it without too much extra resource and, you know, almost no additional cost.
Well, it fills in the gaps, doesn't it? Because even if you've got a fancy app and it's working beautifully with all of the members signed up to said app, that's fantastic. But given the real estate that it takes on a person's phone, everyone knows that not every single person, even if they really love your brand, will want the app. So having something behind the scenes that kind of fills in those gaps and still, whether it's based on exactly the same metrics that the loyalty scheme in app is running on, or whether it's a different one, it doesn't matter. But you're just trying to pick up, same as why Wi-Fi is great, in addition to things like booking systems and things like that, so that you're filling in the gaps. So where is there missing data? Where can I fill it in? And then where is there missing opportunities to contact my customers? How do I fill that in? And that's the key with this. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you. So I suppose kind of moving on to the cool down, hopefully those that are on the call have found those kind of 3 steps useful. This is a little bit of an open floor. If anyone does have any questions of any of the points that we've spoken about, if anyone would like to ask, now is the time.
Jack's very politely raising a hand.
I don't know how you do it on Zoom.
Are you okay, Jack?
We use Teams. I don't know how you do it. I had a really quick question for Sam, I think. So we finally launched birthdays in one of our brands in September last year. Between September and January, we know it generated about 30k worth of revenue for that brand. But our conversion rate is actually what we think quite low. So we're struggling to convince our board that we should roll it out to our other brands.
Yeah.
I suppose, firstly, do we know what an average conversion is for a birthday journey across competitors or other users? And then I suppose a sense check on the journey that we've got set up, because we think we've got it right based on calls with Airship, where we're sending an email 45 days, 30 days, 7 days, and then on the birthday. The revenue factor is great, but kind of in comparison to the bigger picture, we're struggling to convince board that we should roll this out to our other brands effectively. Yeah. How does that compare? How do conversion rates compare across other brands?
Yeah, it's a good question. And so it depends which stage of the journey we're talking about in terms of the conversion. So do you just mean email sent to visit conversion, basically that grand?
We're doing emails, amount of emails sent to a person versus amount of total bookings attributed to a birthday booking type effectively on Res Diary. Yeah.
Okay, got it. Yeah, no, yeah, cool. Okay, and can I ask what the call to, as in what is the incentive? Is it a single-use voucher? Is it an upgraded experience? Is it a gift card?
We are doing pre-book for any group size up to 8 in the restaurant, and we will give you a full round on us, regardless of whatever drink it is, no matter how many people you come with. So if you book for 2 people, you get 2, any drinks on us. You book for 8 people, you get 8 drinks on us, anything from the menu. So we think it's quite a generous offer, albeit that you've got to have a restaurant booking attributed to it. And that same offer is then reminded throughout that journey.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
So I've got 2 answers for you. One of them is a cop-out, totally, because this is a live webinar. And the other one's actually probably quite interesting. So the cop-out answer is, I'd advise jumping on a call with our team and then let's look at the email. And, you know, those guys deal with hundreds of campaigns every week and they'll probably spot something and go, actually, your conversion is really good compared to average, because they can look across the board and say, if you rolled it out across this, it might not feel like a real dial mover for the senior team, but in reality, you're going to add an extra 180k over the year for an automated message. Or they might go, right, if you were to do this, this, and this with the wording or the messaging or the send frequency, you'll probably see a 20% uplift, and then we can try some split testing. One thing we found that is interesting that I don't know if is an option for you guys, Jack, is we have a lot of people that do campaigns around similar to what you've just said, which says book and we'll send you this, or book and you'll get a single-use voucher for X, or, you know, on arrival we'll arrange this. And we tend to get about 16% conversion on that if someone engages it. So like download the voucher, let's say, and, you know, they go, okay, yeah, cool, I'll do that, I'll download the voucher. But if someone says, hey, happy birthday, please see attached a gift card or a stored balance to this effect, which you can use 15 days prior or post your birthday, don't let it expire, use the link below to book. We get a 33% redemption rate on people who basically open the email and engage with that and click to say, yeah, give me the gift card, because then psychologically people think it's a stored balance, which they can relate to, it has an expiry date and it's theirs. And so you're almost saying, okay, book a table of 8 and click here and you'll get a gift card for this amount. And we'd have to work with you for the nuances to make sure that people aren't just getting a gift card for themselves and then wandering in, but we can sort that. But if it was a £40 gift card for anyone who books a table of 8 and it can be redeemed 2 weeks before or after a certain date, we can set all those validity rules, and you probably get about a third of people actually coming in to redeem it. Based on what we've seen so far, you get about double people actually coming in if it's a stored balance they're going to lose, rather than just a single-use voucher they'll get for turning up. Does that help at all?
It does, because I think there's a reason why, but we're not actually using Toggle as part of that journey, because one of the key things we wanted to do is, if we were going to do this, was drive a bum on seat in the restaurant, so either they'd spend head for a restaurant booking rather than just a late night drinks booking, giving away 8 drinks when they might have come in anyway. The bit that I didn't think of there is we're making people book, and essentially the host is then going, right, they're a birthday booking, give them 8 drinks. What we're not actually doing as part of our journey is giving them that cash value as part of that journey, i.e. saying, here's 80 quid or 100 quid based on the value of the drink, but you won't then get it if you book. It might be worth us looking at it the other way around, where you can have this, but you, like you just say, you must book in order to get it.
Yeah, and we can set up a separate product for you that's hidden from the general public, that's called a birthday package or birthday party. And it can say very clearly on the imagery and the wording with it, can only be redeemed against a table booking or food order. And then the member of the staff, when it's being handed over, will very clearly say, people are quite good in this country, especially at doing what they're told. And a member of the public is very unlikely to try their arm and just try and redeem it if it says must be redeemed against a table of 8 or more booking. If my mum buys me another spa package for a hotel for a certain treatment that I don't want, I've now realized I can go to the bar in that hotel and drink my massage because it's just a stored balance. I wouldn't realize that if I didn't work in this sector. So yeah, if you tell people it's for a meal and it has to be used in conjunction with that, and the staff are trained on it, then you'll find very small percentage try and abuse it. But yeah, as you said, you can take one step out of it and just say, hey, your birthday's coming, the gift card's attached, click here to download it, fill your boots, and you'd find an increased uptake on it.
Interesting. We'll give you a shout after this. Thank you.
You definitely do, mate.
Cool. Any more questions from anyone? Trying to see if I can see any raised hands. No. Okay, wonderful. Right, okay. So just a quick summary on either Zoe,
Martin, have you got a question?
Yes, sorry. I'm having like 1,000 Wi-Fi issues, so if I disappear, I apologize. It's just more on the lapse side of things. Because I know I've been discussing with Lorna about the use of text messages somewhere. It'd be really easy to elapse campaigns specifically with the SMS function in Airship, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you could easy to focus on that side of things with text.
Yes.
Perfect, cool. It's just something on our plan board, so.
Oh, well, okay. And I will do you a deal on this call because I love it. But is it Rose Pub? Sorry, Martin. Yeah, perfect. I love the idea of pub groups doing text message marketing because when we've seen it used, it just seems to work well for the pub sector. This text messaging for whatever reason, maybe demographic or the immediacy of it. It's not a life-changing decision to go to the pub again, one more visit. That sort of thing. It's quite an easy sell in terms of psychological something. Okay, I want to be at the pub. Of course I do. So if you wanted to, I'll drop you a message after this, but we'll happily sponsor the first round of sends for your lapsed customer SMS, the additional spend on text message marketing. We'll just cover the cost on that.
Amazing.
I'd like to see the results for it as well. And like to say it's a bit of a case study and say, look, sector, lapsed messaging, text message, send this, get a click here. This is the call to action. I think it'd be really cool. So I'll message to Lorna as well, but yeah, and say we'll pick up the bill for the first send and then we'll both look at it together.
That's great, thank you.
Before my wireless social days, I worked for an American-based CRM hospitality business, and SMS in the US is one of the key marketing sources. It's huge out there. The data was absolutely insane. Like open rates on an SMS campaign are like 80-90% in some cases. They, blow all email open rates out of the water. So I just think it's an absolute, particularly if you guys are offering things like that, it's an absolute no-brainer to try it and see what happens. I think it's a developing. The only person that I know that absolutely bombards me is Domino's, but I think that says more about me than it does Domino's. But I think there's a lot of room for the UK hospitality sector to start giving SMS campaigns a go and seeing what happens. So, and same as we've been saying, if you want to add mobile number to your wireless social login form, then just let us know, because that's a very quick and easy change.
Yeah, Papa John's got me last night. I feel so ashamed to say. There's
what day is it? On a Monday? Filthy. Disgusting.
We've got like 40 inches of going cold pizza in the fridge right now. And some sort of cinnamon sugar pizza dessert thing, which was just phenomenal. Like, it was great. I'm sure Jack's turning in his brain thinking that I spent money. There's no Rudy's in the middle of nowhere in Lancashire. I have no option but to eat Papa John's.
Yeah,
not yet.
Yeah. Come to Tunbridge Wells first, please, Jack.
Yeah. The ego at the end of my road is the most profitable just because I'm 50 minutes. On this, in terms of in good hands, and I know the same is true for Zoe, but the one thing for anyone watching this recording after the event or anyone in here now, my biggest advice, and I say it a lot to operators, because I know it's an impossible amount of stuff that you guys have to do, not just in terms of your normal job, but I mean, the number of passwords you have to remember for all the different tech partners you log into on a weekly basis, it stresses me out thinking about it. But in your network of people who want to see you do well, of your tech suppliers, you've got these huge kind of swimming pools of knowledge about how to use their own platforms. And often operators only get in touch with us when they've got a very specific problem to solve, or something that's been requested from the higher ups, or just something that's coming in a national day or a seasonal thing, which is totally makes sense. That's how I work with almost all of my relationships. It's very much hand to mouth. But on the back of this, I'd strongly recommend getting your diary out and booking in an hour in the next fortnight and saying, okay, I want to speak to Airship, I want to speak to Wireless Social. And the questions are: one, if you were in my shoes, what would you use your platform for right now? What's the thing I should be focused on if you were in my shoes? Because they'll know the one thing across all their customers is having the biggest impact. And then just do it with them. Say, hold my hand, then let's do it together. I'll give you a case study, I'll give you a quote, whatever. And they'll go and help you do it. You know, book in with Airship and say, if I've got birthday journeys set up, then how do I do lapse journeys? If I've got lapse journeys set up, then how do I get this loyalty light? If I've got loyalty light, what's the next thing? Give me an hour of your time, guys, and let's do it. Same with wireless social, same with your table booking platform and your gift card platform. And I know it's easier said than done, but it's an hour that will give you a bigger ROI than most other hours you spend in that week, I promise. And also same, and Jack, you've been great for this in the past, you know, ring us and say, look, this is what I've been tasked to do as a goal. I've got a plan. I'm an expert in my field. But if you've got any sugar that you want to sprinkle on it from other things you've seen or any pitfalls you can see coming online based on the tech ecosystem that I've got, just say it out loud now. It takes half an hour. And you just go into a group of people who spend their entire lives operating in that one very niche space that might go, on the third visit, you're going to struggle because they've done this, this, and this, or that's not going to be compatible with people who view the emails or use a tech or whatever. And you might just go, oh yeah, shit, okay. So find an hour, book in with our team and say, whatever the next most simple one is, help me build it. Book in with Wilder Social. And, you know, over the next 6 months, do one a week with all your tech partners. It'll be one of the best ROI hours you spend each week, I promise. And if I'm wrong, text me, give me some abuse, and I'll just give you something for free as an apology. But
Story of your life, Sam.
Oh yeah. Story of my entire life. But yeah, that's my advice. We've got such a big support team now. I think there's 16 heads in our customer success team across all the different departments. Lean on them. That's what they're there for.
I think it's really underused and just not thought of. Like, it's in our absolute interest that you're getting the most from our platforms. If you're not getting value from it, you won't want to renew. It's really black and white. So just use us as much as you want, and like Sam said, just give us the challenge. Don't feel like you've got to think it all through and give us the very specific request. Just tell us, I need to drive Thursday lunchtimes, I need to do this, I need to do that. We're the experts. We'll come back to you with how you can use our systems to get you to that goal.
Yeah,
Lovely. That's that. Zoe, Sam, thank you so much. That's been
Pleasure.
great, if I say so myself. And if there is anyone that would like to contact any of us directly after this,
these three strangers that I've never seen.
But no, thank you so much, guys. And I hope everyone enjoys the rest of their day.
Yeah, thanks for joining, everyone. Thanks for watching, those watching the recording. Much appreciated taking the time.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, guys.